I promise to keep my first homily under 45 minutes. Those of you who know me know that I love to talk. Now, there's some of you who I don't know who are probably asking yourselves, who is this guy? Well, that's a great question to ask. In fact, there are lots of guys in today's readings to ask that question about. First, we get this guy Habakkuk, who is watching his city being destroyed and people suffering all around him. He is confronted with overwhelming destruction, and he asks God to do something. Habakkuk receives a command to wait and to write. We have these guys called Paul and Timothy in the second reading. Paul tells Timothy to stir into flame the gift of God that you have through the imposition of my hands, and to bear your hardships with a strength that comes from God. Then, in today's gospel, we have the apostles asking for an increase in faith. They are told a parable about a servant doing his duty. Not exactly the way you might expect to answer that question of faith. Just do your duty. In all of these readings, we have questions around faith and some responses that, at first glance, may not seem like answers at all. But in these seemingly perplexing responses lies the very essence of how our faith grows and truly comes alive. The key for growing in our faith doesn't start with grand gestures or intense feelings. It starts with our own heart. It has to begin with humility and obedience, like we see with Habakkuk. Habakkuk's willingness to accept God's timing and instruction, or in Jesus' parable about the unprofitable servant. The servant is not praised for doing great things, but doing what was required. This points to something even deeper. Faith isn't just about outward expressions, but an inward attitude. This is what Jesus is driving at. Obedience in our actions first starts with humility in our hearts. But what is humility? What does it look like? Does it mean that we all have to think that we are worthless or shy away from anything that brings attention to ourselves? Not really. Humility is this inward attitude, not just outward show. It is about recognizing that anything good that I have first comes from God and not myself. Sure, I can build upon the skills and attributes that I have, but I didn't give those to myself. All good things come from God. Press this idea a little further. Has God given you and I these skills and attributes for our own sake or for the sake of others? Humility, then, is about understanding first that my life is not about me, but it's about my place in relation to God and others. And this is the beauty of humility. It gets my life in right order with God in the center. From this move, all things come: faith, prayer, love. And they all find their right place in my life when God is first in the center of it. Obedience is the action of humility. This is the outward action of this inward relationship with God. It's about consciously aligning myself to the moral law and to following legitimate authority. So, when I come to church, when I give to those in need, when I say my prayers, when I follow the teachings of the church, or give my time to someone who needs it. I am not doing something worthy of spiritual superiority or recognition, but I'm doing what a Christian is supposed to do, what is expected of a Christian. When we do these things, we are like the servants in today's parable, where Jesus commends their action. We are unprofitable servants. We have done what we are obliged to do. Faith has trouble growing in a heart that is focused on itself. This is why humility and obedience are essential for any type of faith to really, truly grow. Humility and obedience are like that good soil that the seed of faith can be planted and grow in. In fact, without humility and obedience, my faith can die. It can be stamped out. Pride, laziness, gluttony, and envy can choke my faith away. These attitudes will lead me towards focusing on myself, my life, my desires. These attitudes may fill me with promises for happiness, but will leave me empty, leave me unfulfilled and unsatisfied. Faith has difficulty growing in soil like this. Now, this is not some impossible spiritual ideal. It is actually how you and I are invited to live, to trust in God's plan, to cultivate a heart of humility and a life of obedience. Humility and obedience will mean that you and I will live differently than everyone else. We cannot just blend into the crowd. It will affect how we treat each other, what we post on social media, how we talk to our supervisors or about our supervisors, our parents, our teachers, our spouses. It means, in short, having a faith that permeates every aspect of our lives so that our whole life is transformed into something more like Christ and less like ourselves, less like the world. We may not always see the grand gestures, the grand results immediately, like Habakkuk in today's reading, how he had to wait on God's timing. We may feel sometimes like unprofitable servants, like we hear about in today's gospel, simply doing our duty. But it is in this faithful, humble obedience, day by day, that our hearts are transformed, our understanding deepened, and our faith, though perhaps as small as a mustard seed, grows deep roots in our hearts, slowly forming each of us into an image of Christ in this world. So when the world asks us, who is that guy? Whether they ask of it of Habakkuk, of Timothy, of you or me or anyone else, let them see a living, breathing answer looking back at them, pointing them to Christ.